everyone, and welcome to the Delphi Economic Forum and our panel discussion on building cyber hygiene, protection of people in a digital world. In an age where everything happens online, digital safety is not just a technical issue, it's a human one. Today, we are joined by a panel, a cross-industry panel, with exceptional speakers, all key players in shaping a safe digital environment, ecosystem. We'll explore what cyber hygiene means across sectors, real-world challenges, and how we can collaborate to protect people in this increasingly connected world. I'm Fanouris Drakakis, journalist, and now it's time to introduce you, our speakers. Next to me is Mr. Dimosthenis Anagnostopoulos, Secretary General, Ministry of Digital Governance, Hellenic Republic. Next to him is Carlos Lopez Blanco, Chairman of the Organizing Committee, Foro La Toja. Am I correct?
La Toja.
Yeah. La Toja. Yeah. Next to him is Berthold Barodte, Senior Vice President, Security Solutions for Europe, MasterCard. Next one is Enrico Bellini, Head of Government Relations and Public Policy Southern Europe, TikTok. And last but not least, Antony Mavromichalis, Akamai Business Unit Director of ATCOM. Now, let's start with the first question. Mr. Anagnostopoulos, in recent years, Greece has made a lot of progress in digitalization, public services and infrastructure. But as this effort progresses, so does the risk of cyber threats and cyber attacks. In this evolving landscape, what is the government role in ensuring a secure digital environment for citizens, and what policies or national efforts are being made for this direction, to this direction?
Good morning, everybody. First, I'd like to thank Delphi Forum for providing this opportunity to participate in this panel with such distinguished speakers. And just want to confirm that, yes, indeed, Greece has progressed that much in the past 5.5 years. And actually, Greece has been ranked first amongst the European countries in the improvement of using public services from citizens in this past 5 years. So we're not best in Europe in the usage of electronic services, but in the uptake, in the improvement of using digital services, yes, we're first. And this is very important for us. This is something that has been reported in the digital decade of the European Union. And indeed, we have progressed based on a concrete digital strategy, and I have to mention some of these key elements of the strategy and what we plan for the future concerning citizen and business as well. First, awareness. This is something that we have to work on and we cannot tackle with so easily. We cannot be sure that user awareness is there and we have progressed as much as required and that we're confident that users really accept and understand the rules of engagement in terms of cybersecurity. So we do have some progress in this respect, but we cannot be confident. But what we have done so far is that we have enriched all the types of user engagement with government. So we do have credentials that require a second factor authentication, such as with banks, that you have an SMS or a push notification which is sent to your mobile device, and so you have multiple factors of authentication for performing a transaction. Second, we have a discrete credentials scheme for public servants. So we have different credentials, which is also required by GDPR and also enriches their potential and options for cybersecurity issues. Third, we have moved embracing a cloud-first policy. All our systems, of government systems, more than 600 information systems to the cloud, which, as the EU recommends, is a hybrid and multi-cloud approach. So we can take into account the best that private infrastructure provides and also hyperscalers, that is public cloud providers such as Microsoft, Amazon, etc. And in this way, you can have a unified way for dealing with cyber attacks, but not at every level. For example, for DDoS cyber attacks, yes, we can have a common approach, but not for every type of cyber attack. We have a number of projects that build SOC, Security Operations Center capabilities in government bodies, and especially we have a 8.5 million project which is now under the contract will be signed in the forthcoming months for building a Security Operations Center in the General Secretariat of Emergency Systems of the Ministry, and an 82.5 million project which enriches cybersecurity capabilities of all critical government agencies. So we do have invested in this so far in Greece. And needless to say that all these projects cannot set up trust per se. We do need users to be with us. We do need to have citizens that are aware of cyber attacks and cybersecurity issues. We have also created the cybersecurity authority in Greece, and we have also adopted NIS2 in our country. And we have tried to make as digital as possible in the most technological way, all using interactions with the government, that is to use second factor authentication and also use push notifications in our mobile devices. That's a bunch of critical and technical aspects, but for the citizen to be somehow confident that cybersecurity threats are not there and there are no problems, this cannot be possible. It doesn't have to do with the government itself. It also has to do with social media, with platforms, and you cannot just be sure that we have achieved that. But what we do is that we have promoted the use of government services in Greece for citizens and businesses. So we create a culture for everybody to be aware of, and this way to be much more concerned. And in this way, we try to evolve what I said previously in my first remark, user awareness, which is essential in this direction. That's for me as the first remark. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Mr. Blanco, from what I know, you are the founder also of S Foundation. And this foundation does a lot of work in identifying the changes that need to be tackled by regulators and policymakers. Where do you see the biggest gaps between regulation and changes that have happened?
Okay, thank you. First of all, thank you for having me here and to be present in this amazing event. I think that, as you mentioned, I chair the Foro committee, and believe me that I am learning a lot about organization of events like this. Let me share with you which are the three major changes in the cybersecurity policy and regulation field in the last years. The first one has been the risk increase because the use of new technologies. I think that when we use new technologies, we are confronting new risks. But when we are using technologies connected or technologies like cloud computing, the level of risk increases dramatically. And this is, for instance, for citizens when they are using new devices, interconnecting each other, and for companies with the IoT world that will be a serious increase in the risk and cybersecurity challenges. The second change in the last year has been the sophistication of risk, and especially the more sophisticated and more professional cyber criminals that we are confronted. So this is a fact that we are progressing a lot in setting up new cybersecurity systems. Cyber criminals, they are progressing as much as we do. So this is a very, very, very radical challenge with new sorts of criminalities like the geopolitical one, etc. So this is the second factor. And that the third one is that the cyber risk is a global one and has to be managed in that way. So cannot be managed in the national or local level. So that means that we have, as a consequence of these three changes, we have two major challenges now, especially in Europe. First one, how to manage the transition from the national regulation to the European one. And the European Union has launched that has been called the regulatory tsunami of a lot of rules and new regulations in the digital space, and especially in the cyber security. So this is the first challenge that we have to face, how to absorb this new regulation. And the second, which is directly connected to it, is the implementation at national level. That is really, really a challenge, because this is a very complex regulation. It's technically very difficult to apply. Sometimes have directives, other times have regulations. So it's a very complex scenario in which we have to implement. And the additional problem is that the implementation of this new regulation is a challenge not just for governments or big companies, but for medium businesses too. And this is something that is very difficult. So there are the challenges we are facing, but we have no choice. I think that the only way in which we can manage cyber risk today is to do it in the European and global level and with this sort of regulation.
Thank you very much. Mr. Barodte, from your point of view, what measures or strategies should be implemented to enhance and strengthen trust within the digital ecosystem, ensuring also greater security, transparency, and accountability for the stakeholders?
Thank you very much, and let me also thank you for letting me be here in this panel today. And maybe to start off, if we think about what has happened, and we talked about the challenges right now, to be very simple, actually our lives went more and more digital over the last couple of years, and that normally means that also the criminals, they just follow. And unfortunately, we now size the challenge we are looking at, and some expectations say we are facing by 2028 a risk of probably $14 trillion of total cost of cybercrime. This would make it the third biggest economy in the world. So there is need for action for that. And we as MasterCard, we believe that areas are threefold. We need to ensure that we have the right tools to assess the real cyber risk exposure. Secondly, we need to think about how can we prevent those attacks from happening. And thirdly, it's very much about building the trust in the ecosystem and organizing that trust in the ecosystem. Let me unfold them quickly and talk about those three items. First of all, when we look about the part of how to assess risk, we believe it's very important that each and every organization understands which risks are they facing. It's not only the risks they are facing themselves, but what is also coming further down the supply chain. What are the third-party risks that they are facing? And just to give you an example here, we believe that threat intelligence is a key component here. And you need to understand what risks might be arising so that you can actually prepare for them in good times. And this is why we also, as a MasterCard, just recently strengthened our capabilities here. And we acquired Recorded Future, one of the key players when it comes to threat intelligence. And with their help, organizations can now figure out which risks might arise and what can they do in order to prevent these risks from happening, and this is in real time. So this is really making a difference. Secondly, let's talk about the protection, and I'm going to give one example of what we are doing here. So we have one solution that is called Safety Net. It's an AI-powered solution, and over the last 3 years alone, we prevented 50 billion of fraud with that for our customers, which drives trust into the system of payments and the ecosystem overall. And lastly, it's about this organization of the trust, and you covered on this. Cybersecurity can't be done alone. It's a team sport. So we all need to join forces, and we as MasterCard are working very closely with governments, with associations on figuring out and improving which skills are needed to prevent cybercrime, to provide the insights that are required to address those risks, and by this then also enable everybody to have this confidence in our systems, which we rely on a daily basis. So for us, it's absolute key that we collaborate, because collaboration will be key for providing this trust in our digital ecosystem.
Thank you very much. I can't see you, so Mr. Bellini, previously Mr. Blanco mentioned the European legislation. For social media platforms like TikTok, what are the main challenges in maintaining the user experience and innovation, and at the same time navigating compliance and with overlapping digital regulation like GDPR, DSA, and DMA?
First of all, thank you so much for the invitation, and I'm very happy and glad to represent TikTok here in this amazing event. And you know, I think that it's part also of our effort right now that we're doing since a while now, but especially in the recent period, to step up our game in a way and showcase how our app is becoming so much successful that is becoming more and more an app used by many part of the population, especially here in Greece. We have now more than 4 million monthly active users. So this shows you that we've come already a long road, and therefore we need to step up our game also when it comes to very serious and important matters as it is cybersecurity. From a perspective, as you were saying, on regulations and on European regulation, national regulation, and so on, I think that we are taking this very seriously. And our compliance to the DSA and to DMA and GDPR is showing this. So we have a very open dialogue with all the institutions, and we try and make our best to have compliance at the heart of what we do. And from this perspective, I think that operating in this environment requires to raise your standards, and requires you to make sure that you show up every time that an institution calls you in and requires information, and requires you to abide by not only guidelines and regulation, but also guidelines. And from this perspective, I think that really we are making our best efforts to merge and to make sure that not only we keep on innovating, we keep presenting a platform that is appealing and that is used by users, but at the same time that the standards on which we protect our users on, then the standards on which we protect data of users and so on, it's top notch and at very high level. From this perspective, I think that also this event offers us a great opportunity, because we can engage with other experts in the matter, and I think that it's really part also of our three-step approach in making sure that our app can continue to be a safe space and chosen by so many users. The first step is creating guidelines and community guidelines and rules, and we do so. We keep updated our community guidelines, and not only we keep them updated, but we make sure that that rules on our app are very much abided, and we have a great, from this perspective, we build and we invest a lot of resources in order to have professionals that can do that, and that can make sure that the guidelines are followed and content on the app remains safe. From this perspective, I think again that it's it's something that you need to do both having and putting in place great technology, and we invest so much on that in order to have a moderation technology that is state of the art, and at the same time, although you need human oversight. So that's the second part of the effort. At the same time, as we were saying before, also from our perspective, cybersecurity, the security on and the safety of the use requires collaboration. So that's why we have a lot of tools that we make available to our users, so that not only they can make sure to they can notify us when they see content that is not in line with our guidelines, but at the same time they can have an experience on the app that is fulfilling from them, and with for instance introducing tools to control how much time do you spend on the app, or filtering out topics that you prefer not to. And finally, again, the third step is keeping yourself up to the conversation and to the priorities that are shared among the community. And for instance, that's why we engage in events like this, and we open up to the community of experts on the key priorities of digital society, because we know that keeping your platform safe and keeping your users safe, it's a never-ending game. You need to always invest and be sure that you can deliver at best.
Thank you very much. Mr. Mavromichalis, Akamai has a global view in both public and private sector digital infrastructure. What are the most common vulnerabilities you see, and how can tech proactively enable cyber hygiene?
First, thank you for the question, and I feel honored that we are here together with esteemed leaders and major platforms like TikTok and MasterCard. In fact, all of them are Akamai customers, and they use our services to get this kind of protection. Moving forward to your question, from Akamai perspective, we see over 780 million application attacks each day. And we analyze across 1 petabyte worth of data each day. So this is a lot of information. When we analyze this data, we have found the 3 major vulnerabilities. First, it's unprotected APIs. You know that lately, they are increasingly targeted. They are being used extensively across all industries. And this is common because services are evolving. Second, we have identity and access issues. A lot of organizations are still relying on static password, in broad access policies, and outdated VPN. Outdated remote access like VPN. So using this, the attackers can move laterally inside the organization and perform serious damage. And the third, which is the most important that we see lately, is that many organizations are still reactive. They take alerts from us, they take alerts also from other sources, but they are often too slow to respond before damage is done. So, what we do at Akamai to tackle this is to combine real-time traffic data in combination with machine learning, but automation, and use some people, because AI is not enough. We have to use people in our global SOC teams that they will analyze this threat and will validate it and respond it real time. For example, in Greece, we have seen it in practice. To give an example, in January, from January till today, we have mitigated more than 400,038,000 attacks. That huge surge started around late summer 2024. When stat-based activity picked up, Greece was the target. And Greece was the target, and it continues to be a target. It's happening here, right now. It's constant, and it's the new era. The new era that sophisticated attacks aren't just occasionally, that they used to be in the past. When we first started this business in Greece, 20 years ago, we had one attack every 2-3 months. Now it's the new era. We have one major attack every day. So our region is right in the middle of it. The encouraging part is that many organizations in Greece are moving early. They are not waiting for the regulation to kick in. They are investing in cyber hygiene now. And this is exactly the kind of proactive mindset we need to move on.
Thank you very much. And now let's go to the second round of questions. Mr. Anagnostopoulos, recently Greece, along with other European countries, implemented the directive NIS2 to our national legislation. How does the implementation align with our national efforts to promote better cyber hygiene across both public and private sector?
Okay, thank you for this question. Yes, we do have incorporated NIS2 in our legal system, and it's not only NIS2, it's also the regulation, as previously mentioned, concerning data, such as the Digital Governance Act. We do have the AI Act, so there's a bunch of regulations that we need to take into account, along with GDPR, and I think that we try to do our best to comply all of them. Needless to say that specifically for GDPR, we are in very close collaboration with the Data Protection Authority, because as you understand, it's also the personal number that will be issued at the end of this month or beginning of May. So this was a quite a considerable issue to have the opinion of the Data Protection Authority to proceed with. This is important for our citizens. But especially for NIS2, I think we have the National Cybersecurity Authority, which was created in last year. We have Mr. Blechas, which is a very accredited scientist, who is the head of this authority. And I think that we try to do our best in what NIS2 dictates, which is have a body that both supervises and takes care of such incidents. Needless to say that, yes, in Greece we do have cybersecurity attacks in both private and public sector. Some of them are already known to the public, others are not, and others are not. And yes, in the public sector we do face also attacks very often related to DDoS. So we do have denial of service attacks ranging from different countries, originating from different countries. And I think that in these previous 5 years we're fortunate, I would say, enough, and we try to do our best and preserve the good operation of our systems in the government, so that no problem secured for the citizens and businesses. So we do have achieved a high availability percentage for GovGR, for all services related to the citizen and the public. And we try to do our best to let all authorities, public and private sector authorities, aware of cybersecurity issues and what they have to do according to NIS2 for them to comply with the regulation, and also to be able to have a preemptive approach for future cybersecurity attacks. This is something that we should all be aware of, that things occasionally may tend to be hard, and we do need to be positioned to deal with such incidents. And how we have dealt both at the preemptive stage and at the first hours or days of this attack may be crucial for the development of these cyber attacks. Also, especially for ransomware, which is very well very well
a trend in cybercrime.
Yes, there are many attacks related to ransomware. We need to take specific precautions and have the tools that enable us to somehow use previous data that are not with the viruses that exist. And we have done so with these projects that I mentioned in my previous remarks concerning cybersecurity. So this 82 million euro projects will also be oriented towards taking care of such ransomware attacks and this kind of threats. So I think that we're heading in the best direction, in the right direction. I think that we need to exchange best practices for dealing with cybersecurity. So user awareness and also awareness among public and private sector bodies is of most crucial importance. And that's what I try to enhance in these past few years to be able to tackle such issues and respond in the best possible way if and when such attacks occur. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Mr. Blanco, how can our organizations, societies, states build a cyber hygiene culture rather than just compliance? And how we can ensure that no one is left behind?
Let me try to explain that in 2 minutes. So first, I think that cybersecurity culture is a polyedric issue. On one side, there is big companies and governments. For them, it's not an issue, it's a requirement. So I think that you are a big company, you cannot afford the risk of having not, the reputational risk of not being in the highest level of cybersecurity. Governments is very similar. Now citizens are demanding you e-services, and they understand that you have the highest level of cybersecurity. There are two places where we have this problem that you have mentioned of not leaving behind anyone. First, citizens and individuals. I think that now in individuals we have a long tradition of GDPR regulation. And now the key word is, I have to mention, awareness. So that we need is to communication, to explain citizens how important is to keep the level of cybersecurity needed. And the problem is not a technical problem, because it's not difficult to keep this level of security. The problem is a problem of conscious and awareness, and to convince them that this is a serious thing. But for me, the biggest challenge is in the small and medium businesses. Don't forget that countries like Spain or Greece, 98% of the companies are small and medium businesses. And they have a lot of challenges in terms of cybersecurity. And here, the level of awareness of small and medium businesses of how important it is to keep the levels of cybersecurity is very, very low. And this is a big challenge, because our small companies think that they don't need to be aware of the importance of cybersecurity. And once they are aware of that, they need our support of government, support of society in terms of funds, but in terms, which is as important as money, technical assistance, and to help them to maintain the levels of cybersecurity that now, I am finishing, with the responsibility that the NIS2 directive gives to the supply chain, is something that to keep the level of cybersecurity in small and medium businesses is absolutely critical for it.
Thank you very much. We have to go a little bit faster. Let me go to Mr. Bellini. With platforms often being entry point for misinformation and phishing especially now in an AI era. How do you ensure user safety and promote good digital habits?
Well, also in this case, I think that it's a combination of coordination and collaboration also with institutions, and at the same time trying to make yourself always state of the art, or trying to push actually even the industry standards. From the first point of view, not only we have community guidelines that prohibits misinformation, disinformation, and harmful misinformation, but also we were involved in the code of conduct on disinformation by the European Union since 2020, so since when it was still only voluntary. And from this perspective, we are in there because we dedicate a lot of attention to this matter. We collaborate with international fact checkers, and we do so again still working with them, but keeping the responsibility of the moderation. So we also make sure that our moderators are always trained to handle such threats, and at the same time by making sure that our users are informed. And for instance, when they search for a specific topic that sometimes call for information that is not 100% certain, we show, and for instance, think about COVID or think about mental health and so on, we give pop-ups where they can see and look to actually places where there's secure information, for instance, ministerial sites, and at the same time, if we go from general disinformation to AI, again here we can see that we showed not only attention to the matter, but we tried to move ahead of time and ahead of the industry. For instance, we were the first company introducing and adopting a standard where every synthetic media that was uploaded from other platforms onto ours were directly labeled.
Faster, please.
Yes. So I believe that again here it's a combination. You need to step up your game. You need to see what also others are doing and trying to implement better results. But at the same time, you need to show that also to other to competitors or to other players the path that they can follow.
Thank you very much. Mr. Barodte, a few days ago we read that MasterCard plans to eliminate visible numbers on credit and debit cards, transitioning to a system that will rely on tokenization. What this new system brings to the table, and how it enables also security and safety in this environment.
Thanks for this question. And yes, indeed, we are transforming the way you pay online, and that should be music to all our ears, because we get rid of the requirement of typing in 16 digits, we get rid of remembering static passwords, and we get rid of the use of one-time codes. And this is for two reasons. We want to make payments more convenient, but most importantly, we want to make them more secure. And this is exactly what we're going to achieve with pairing up tokenization with biometric authentication. Combining those two technologies will lead to the fact that basically everybody will win in our ecosystem. Merchants will no longer be exposed to data breaches as they are today. Issuers, so the banks, will see less fraud on their cards, and we all, every card owner, will be having more convenience in payment and more security, and can keep the peace of mind. Therefore, with MasterCard, we are very strongly convinced that if we follow our vision of having all transactions tokenized in the online space in Europe by 2030, that we will result in this significantly more secure ecosystem, and we can help drive our vision of having trust embedded in all transactions and interactions we see. I'm going to stop here because I see time is over, and there probably is the last question.
Thank you very much. And now, Mr. Mavromichalis, the last question. What's the role Akamai sees in promoting cyber hygiene at a global scale? And could emerging technologies such as AI and automation play a proactive role in this? A little fast. please.
Absolutely. I think Akamai plays a huge role in this because we have all this huge share of global internet traffic across banks, governments, platforms. We share this information. It's also one of the pillars for DORA and S2. And we give them incredible visibility of what's going on the internet in terms of threat. So we help them to be reactive instead of waiting for what's coming, to be protected at the same time. This happens in, for example, when an attack happens in one region, automatically in other regions, the customers get this kind of protection. Second, we work closely with organizations to make sure they are not just reacting to attacks, but actually they are ready for them. So we prepare them with readiness drills, with security reviews, and so we help the teams to be prepared in a way that is part of the daily operations and not just an auditing process. And yes, AI and automation, it's critical in this. At Akamai, we use machine learning to detect anomalies, to stop threats in milliseconds. This is how we do to catch attacks like DDoS, for banks, for government sectors, for any other customer, to catch up ransomware and API abuse before they escalate. But what we learn, and this is the key, is that AI alone isn't enough. You still need human judgment. That's why we have invested in 6 global SOCs staffed by experts who are hunting, analyzing, and responding 24/7. And honestly, one of the things I'm most excited is what we see in Greece. Organizations aren't just preparing for regulations, they're already acting. They are embedding security in how they operate, and that tells me we're heading in the right direction. Because at the end of the day, cyber hygiene isn't a technical challenge, it's a mindset. And we are proud to be part of helping that shape globally, especially since the word hygiene itself comes from the Greek.